Hello Doomers and Doomettes, I'm your host Dee, and today we're going to take a break from some of the more analytical videos to discuss the upcoming film Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the 7th film in the live-action Transformers saga. So a lot of information has been floating around recently in the past few weeks thanks to some online, press-only events that I thought it'd be a good idea to compile everything we know at the moment into an easier-to-access format, and then I'll give my own thoughts on it later. Though, knowing my luck, as soon as this video is uploaded, a whole heap of new movie material will be available. At this rate, we'll probably see the toy line leak to YouTube reviewers in a month. So if this is something of interest to you, before we begin, I'd like to humbly ask that if you could consider liking the video, sharing, or even subscribing, as it helps the algorithm to promote this content on this channel, and you're really helping this channel grow as we approach 1,000 subscribers. And to any returning viewers, thanks for coming back. With that said, let's dive right in.
We now return to the Transformers.
So, at the moment, Transformers Rise of the Beasts is scheduled for a release date of June 24th, 2022, so a little under a year from now. It has a younger director, Stephen Capel Jr., who has directed a few indie projects, with his most notable film prior to this being Creed 2, released in 2018. According to IMDb, both of the film's writers, Darnell Metayer and Josh Peters, don't have any other writing credits to their name. However, their work is based on an earlier script written by Jobby Harold, who may be a little more notable as he's worked on the recent Army of the Dead film for Netflix and is currently scripting the Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi series. The producers list seems to be mostly the same as the other Transformers film, still headed by Gabe Newell, still headed by Lorenzo di Bonaventura. Don't worry, we'll come back to him. In regards to the cast, here's what we're aware of at the moment. The main human actors are Anthony Ramos, Dominique Fishback, and Lauren Velez. Ramos is most likely known for his recent role in the 2021 summer film In the Heights, as well as for his work as the titular character in the musical Hamilton. He's set to be playing a character named Noah, an ex-military electronics guy who plays a fatherly role to his younger brother. Fishback has appeared in projects like Judas and the Black Messiah, and is set to be playing a character named Elena, a researcher of ancient artifacts who has constantly had her credit stolen by her boss. Actors in the previous installment of Bumblebee, such as Haley Steinfeld and John Cena, have expressed interest in returning for a sequel. However, as of today, they are not confirmed to have roles or appearances in the film. But who's interested in a Transformers film for humans, am I right? We're in it for the gear-grinding, energon-fueled robots. And on that note, Rise of the Beast seems to have quite a large cast. Bear in mind, I'm only going to be referring to characters who, at the moment, are officially confirmed for the film, through various news outlets from official press sources, and what we have is quite a lot. It's been reported that the film will have a total of 5 factions in it: the Autobots, Decepticons, Maximals, Predacons, and the Terrorcons. The Autobots and Decepticons need no introduction, but the Maximals and Predacons come from the Beast Wars series in the 1990s, with both factions being the descendants of the previous two. In the Beast Wars series, a group of Maximals and Predacons are flung into the distant past and stranded on prehistoric Earth. And then there's the real interesting note, the Terrorcons. Now, the Terrorcon faction has had a wide variety of uses in multiple Transformers continuities, ranging from a small combiner team to the term used to describe the robot zombies in-universe. Here, it's applying to a new 5th faction in-universe, led by the character Scourge, who we'll talk a little bit more about in just a moment. The Terrorcons are described as a threat to all other factions, and they are incapable of working with anyone. It's been suggested that they're aligned with an even higher power, and if you're familiar with a little bit of Transformers lore, you probably have a decent idea of who that could be. So let's talk some characters. On the Autobots, the confirmed characters are currently Optimus Prime, and once again, Peter Cullen has been confirmed to be returning to the role, because why else wouldn't he? From some set photos, Prime appears likely to retain his traditional cab-over-truck alternate mode like in 2018's Bumblebee. Speaking of Bumblebee, of course he is confirmed as well, and he's going to be transforming into a modified 1970s Camaro, complete with a set of off-road wheels. Mirage is another confirmed Autobot, appearing as a silver and blue Porsche, not unlike Jazz, and you can see him pictured in some of the new set photos. RC is the final confirmed Autobot for the time being, appearing as a Ducati 916 motorcycle, reportedly still retaining her Generation 1 appearance, possibly similar to her cameo in the Bumblebee film. Now on to the reported Maximals in the film so far. To kick things off, we have Optimus Primal, the leader of the bunch, who turns into a gorilla and is reportedly similar in design to the concept art from the 5th film, The Last Knight, but with a bit more fur and rust. Optimus Primal actually has had his voice actor already confirmed, with Ron Perlman taking up the role once more. This would be Ron Perlman's second rendition of the Maximal leader, as he previously played the same character in Machinima's Power of the Primes miniseries.
Our fates are shared. I was wrong to think otherwise. But why would he want to destroy Cybertron? stand away from the Requiem Blaster.
Also confirmed for the Maximals are Rhinox and Air Razor, who, if you weren't already aware, turn into a rhino and a bird respectively, and were both primary characters on the 1990s Beast Wars show. Both characters are reported to have a more rusted, steampunk look to themselves as well. No Decepticons or Predacons have been verified just yet, so we'll move on to the last two confirmed characters, belonging to the Terrorcons. First off, we have Nightbird, a character taken from the Generation 1 series, who evidently has fluid allegiances, and is reported to transform into a Nissan GTR. She's apparently going to retain her gray and purple color scheme, as well as her traditional mask and hood look.
She looks like some earthling play puppet.
And finally, we have the real outlier of the group, Scourge. Now, going off the reports we have, Scourge is the main villain of the film and seems to be a mishmash of various versions of the character. A black and orange color scheme similar to his appearance in Transformers Cybertron, with smokestacks suggesting that he turns into a truck like his Robots in Disguise counterpart, and he could possibly be serving a certain chaotic deity, like the original Generation 1 Scourge. His design also mentioned a clawed hand crackling with electricity and smoke coming out of his smokestack. A final notable trait about the character is that he reportedly has multiple faction insignias all over his body, as it said he tears them off his victims and welds them onto his own body as trophies. So that's a lot of info already, but what do we know about the story? The film is reported to be taking place in the year 1994, with Noah and Alina, the primary human leads, coming from Brooklyn and being introduced to the world of the Transformers from there. The film will also have scenes in Peru and is setting up to film in Machu Picchu later this year. We also know that the film will involve time travel as a theme. This comes from director Stephen Cable Jr. as he said in a press conference that in the film, there will be, quote, prehistoric animals who travel through time and space to arrive on Earth. It's also been suggested that, if you haven't guessed already, the Terrorcons are potentially subservient to the great god of chaos, the mighty planet eater Unicron. If accurate, this would not be Unicron's first appearance in the live-action saga, as Unicron was revealed to be the Earth itself in The Last Night, a plot element that originated in the 2010 Transformers Prime series. But if Bumblebee was a reboot, why are we returning to the events of the Michael Bay films? Well, that's the kicker, isn't it? This might not be part of a reboot at all. Remember how I said we'd come back to Lorenzo di Bonaventura? Well, here we are. If you're not familiar with di Bonaventura here, he's the main producer of all other Transformer films, as well as some other projects from Hasbro like the G.I. Joe movies, including Snake Eyes Origins. Oh dear. Now, producers are often overlooked when it comes to films, as most credit is typically attributed to the director, but it's important not to forget the role a producer has in, well, producing a film, and that involves creative input. So, why bring this up at all? Well, it's relevant because Di Bonaventura kind of flip-flops all over the place on whether things are a reboot or a prequel. He said that he doesn't like to use the term reboot, but would rather just want to call things different than they were before, while at the same time is referencing that in this film, we'll be seeing Optimus Prime develop into the character we know in future films. In addition, in an interview with Cinema in 2019, Di Bonaventura confirmed that a sequel to Bumblebee was in the works, as well as the next film set in, quote, the main family series following the events of Transformers The Last Night. It's already a bit confusing to seem as though they're not willing to fully commit to one side of the fence or the other. How can this be an earlier version of Optimus Prime in the Michael Bay films if he only landed on Earth in 2007 in that continuity? Why consider work on a sequel to The Last Night if people want a reboot? Why not take the opportunity to explore other characters underused in the Bay franchise, such as Starscream or Shockwave? The last thing we learned for the time being is that, unlike Bumblebee, which was a smaller budget film with less emphasis on action, Rise of the Beast will be your typical summer blockbuster film full of a big budget, action, and explosions. So with that said, what are some of my thoughts? Well, if I'm honest, I think we have some major red flags here. I want to start off by saying I adored 2018's Bumblebee, and it well exceeded all of my expectations for that film. In addition to the opening scene, which everyone loves, I felt like it really had a lot of heart and was just enjoyable to watch. I think that a lot of it came from how small and focused the film was. It wasn't a bloated project with millions and millions of dollars spent into explosions and traveling around the world. It was a story about a girl and her car as they fought off against two evil robots who sought to alert their army to the presence of Earth. And that was it. It didn't need revelations that the history of mankind is completely different than we thought. It didn't need to revisit historical sites from ancient history. Having so few characters meant more focus on the ones we had, as well as their importance of the relationship with the human characters. On the opposite end of the spectrum, take a look at The Last Last Night, which featured over 30 robot characters. Would you really say that any of them got an appropriate amount of screen time or character focus? Do you really think that characters like Mirage, Rhinox, and Airraiser are going to get that same kind of character focus as like in Bumblebee? Even if it is a new continuity, Rise of the Beasts appear to be circling right back to the same tropes that made the previous saga so repetitive and convoluted. Filming in Machu Picchu, The Last Night had to film at Stonehenge, we went to the pyramids, it's all been done. And don't get me started about Transformers in ancient history. Now, please don't get me wrong, I love Beast Wars, and Predacon Megatron and Optimus Primal are some of my favorite characters in the whole franchise. But with time travel and Beast Wars in this film, this would be the 6th installment in the series out of 7 where the plot revolves around Transformers secretly being involved in human history. In 2007's film, it was revealed that the Hoover Dam was secretly constructed to hide the Allspark, and all modern tech was derived from studying Megatron. In Revenge of the Fallen, we were told that the Primes, ancient leaders of the species, interacted with prehistoric civilizations, and that the pyramids were secretly weapons to destroy the sun. Dark of the Moon explained that the space race in the 1960s was actually a secret government plot to uncover a Transformers spaceship on the moon. Age of Extinction showed that dinosaurs weren't killed by the Ice Age or a meteor, but they were actually wiped out by the creators of the Transformers. And finally, The Last Night revealed that Transformers helped humanity in the medieval era, and they fought in World War I and World War II. Oh, and Unicron was Earth the whole time.
Earth.
And now there's going to be yet another film about Transformers hiding in Earth's past. Reboot or not, do you really want to see this same story concept for a 6th time? Transformers has always been one of my favorite franchises, but if the movies keep getting the same level of respect as the Fast and the Furious films in production, it's never going to be taken seriously. If Rise of the Beast reverts back to the same formulas and tropes that befell the Michael Bay films, I'm worried that the franchise will continue to be ridiculed as the poster child for mindless bad blockbuster movies. We have a long way to go before any real content gets revealed at this point, so all we can do now is wait until the trailer and speculate on the information we're currently getting at this time. Maybe the film will turn out pretty decent, and I'm just going off the information I have here. But until then, I'm gonna do what I do best, and be overly paranoid and suspicious about all the little information presented to me.
And you, my friend, never at rest. We can grant you peace of mind.
No, thank you. I like being paranoid.
If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on the current state of what we know about Rise of the Beasts? Are you an Optimus Prime, or do you desperately crave decent content for this franchise? Let me know in the comments. As always, if you liked this video, I would immensely appreciate if you would consider sharing it or subscribing. I'm deeply thankful for your support, especially as we're close to breaking 1,000 subscribers. There's a few other videos in the works here, and as always, if you have any other suggestions, let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I could see you next time.
Earth.
Yes, so you were.